The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Callie Olson. We are back. The New York Knicks in the zone, and I have Sam Stith with me.
How you doing, Ralph? Good afternoon.
Good to hear your voice. You are a pleasant part of my life. I enjoy your company on every level.
Oh, I enjoy yours too, man.
Good. We go back a long way to Harlem, as a matter of fact.
A lot of history.
I want to start out by giving you some call-ins, kind of an Ask Sam. I had Robert Cole, who's a podcaster on this network, respond to my request to just ask you a few questions about what's going on. First thing, he's quite blunt. Would the Knicks be better off without Randall?
That's a question.
Yes.
I see him. I keep thinking about Patrick Ewing shooting jump shots, but Pat used to miss his. He the other night showed what kind of character he is, and that's disturbing. He didn't play the last quarter, and they won. But he was upset because he didn't get in the game. He was having a bad game. As a team player, you follow me?
Right.
I'll give you an example of what happened. Back in the day, star players have a bad game, right? Star players have a bad game, and the coach take them out. But near the end of the game, if the team is doing better and catch up, they put the star player in. He was the cause they would lose, and they put him back in. Let me give you a true story about that. I'm with the Knicks. We were playing in Philly, and we were down by 12 with 3 minutes to go in the game, right? Coach puts me in, and I score 12 straight points to tie the game. The horn blows, and the star player comes back in to take me out with 30 seconds to go in the game, right? And we lost, right? You have to stay with the hot hand. That team was clicking. Because sometimes you can't be on every night. You're talking about the NBA where you're up at so he had to be off. And unfortunately, when a star player is off, you have to make a change during the game, right? If the jump shot is not clicking, you got to go and get to the foul line. You got to drive and do something else. Play defense. You can't just, I'm having a bad game. You can have a bad game shooting, but your defense ain't never off. You don't have a bad game playing defense. But he was having a bad game, missing. And this 3-point shot is helping the NBA and it's killing them same time. And he sat on the bench and he don't want to get an interview after the game, which means he's sulking. And, that's not a team concept. They won. Now, if they'd have lost, right, it might be a different situation. If you'd have put me back in, we might have won. You follow me? But they won the game. That's time for cheering your teammates on. Way to go without me. The old, I'll go in a foxhole with you, You won without me. That's fantastic, guys. Good, great. I'm proud of you. That's the attitude. He didn't have that attitude. And so right now with him, it's something about his game, that is, every time he takes his 3 all the time. And there's no more centers. You follow me? He could play inside. He can go. This guy can go either way because he's big and bulky. He can go inside. You follow me? And when you miss your jump shot, you go inside. Give me the ball, right? Team, give you the ball. And I'll do something inside until my jump shot come back in the second half. But I don't know.
Can you think of any player from back in the day that would do that was famous for doing that? Adjusting and showing all of his game.
going back a long ways. All I know back in the day, it was star players having a bad game, right? In the game, if their team was winning, coming back, and they always put him back in the game. He wasn't clicking that day. You follow me? He wasn't clicking. So I can't think of a player back then who would do that. First of all, players back then, he would have a problem with that. You follow me? Because we monitor ourselves. You follow me? He would have a problem with his teammates. You follow me? Along that line. But back then, they always put the guy back in. That's what I was getting to. That's what I was getting to. Is the team, where do the players need to come in when the coach isn't doing that? Well, the worst coach decision, believe it or not, my favorite coach in basketball is Pat Riley. Okay? He made a crucial mistake against Houston, right? Stocks was having a bad game. Stocks was 3 for 7, having a bad. He wouldn't take him out. Rolando Blackman is on the bench. Jump shooting Rolando Blackman is on the bench. He should have went in and he later on, 10 years later, he tells Roland, I should put you in. Stocks was having a bad game, right? He was 3 for 17. And I'll be honest with you, I was told this. I was saying, I'm blaming Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley, right? They should have went to the side, get the coach, right? Hey, come on, John, you'll get the ball up. You follow me? But they didn't they lost that because of bad decisions by the coach and the players. Then somebody told me the following. You only want the ball because of Alonzo when he near the close end of the game. You follow me? But everyone forgot something. The game before that, the ball was supposed to go to Ewing. You follow me? For the last shot. And Stocks took it. Washington blocked his shot. They forgot that. But there was a bad decision that the coach made, and the players released themselves most of the time. Now, when I was captain of the St. Bonnie's, I called timeout and said, hold on a second. And I would tell a player, you're not going through what we're supposed to be doing. You follow me? You got to do this, you got to do that, right? And the coach went along with that as captain. You follow me? But I think Oakley and Ewing should have called timeout and say, John, you missed 10 straight shots. And one of my favorite players, by the way, John Stocks. You missed 10 straight shots. Who was in the backcourt? I can't think who was in the backcourt. I can't think who played in the backcourt. The backcourt who was in there, I remember he'd have been MVP. What the heck was his name? Derek Hopper. No, I think he'd have been MVP, you follow me. But nobody, and Riley let him do it because Riley loved John Stocks, you follow me. But there come a time when you guys say, hold on a second, it's not working, John. You're shooting jump shots. And by the way, he wasn't a great three-point shooter, He was a scorer, but more than a pure shooter, if you follow my drift on that. He could do it all, but he wasn't a pure jump shooter. And he's taking threes, and I stood up and go, what the hell is going on here? Take him out the game, sit him on the side and say, hey, John, it's not working. Rolando Blackman, a proven veteran from Dallas, is with us, pure jump shooter, but he apologized to him 10 years too late. First mistake, and Riley's my favorite all-time coach, period. Yeah. But trading him this year, it all depends on how the series go. He better come out and do something tomorrow when they're playing. He better get his act together, his attitude together. If I'm the coach, I'm taking him to the side. So wait a minute, you got to have an attitude adjustment here, my man. This is a team game.
Sam, do you have regrets about not getting into coaching when your career was over?
I was asked to coach for St. Bonnie's when I later on. You follow me? And I was a banker. I had a professional job. You follow me? And I didn't regret it, but I made up for it coaching kids out here. I was coaching for 10 years out here to kids age 6 to 12. And we championship after championship. I love coaching these kids. You follow me? I don't know. I think I'd have been a pretty good coach because he used to call me a coach on the floor. You follow me? But I don't regret not going into the profession. I made out all right in my profession. You know. But I was told you go to Bonner, you can get a $75,000 sneaker contract. But I was an assistant vice president, in the bank, and that was my career. And then later on, I was positioned to start my own finance company, real estate. So I don't look back. I go one step further. I was at a thing one time in the garden, a benefit, and one of the guys that I played with in Cleveland for the Pipers, he was saying, "I thought you'd be a coach." Right? And I said, I don't know where he got that idea because I was at the Pipers, the best team in the world with John McClendon. But I thought you'd be a coach. And it never crossed my mind, So I've been coaching. I love coaching kids. But I think I'd have been a pretty good coach. Pretty good. I think I'd have been a pretty good coach.
I bet you would have because you have what coaches need, and that's to be a clear communicator and not hold back. And at the same time, you have a way of explaining things that is terrific. I just wonder how it would have gone.
I did all right. I'm so proud of these kids that I coached out here. These kids, I coached the whole team that never knew basketball, and I trained them to the point that we used to be teams we weren't supposed to be, and I was proud of that. You follow me? And particularly the parents, I was proud of because they appreciated the job I was doing. And then I had my summer camp from 8 o'clock until 5, and the parents loved it because I was a glorified babysitter. They drop off the kids 8 o'clock in the morning and pick them up at 5. And I trained a lot of kids that played in high school. I was so proud. I went to a high school game, and 3 of the starting 5 was guys I coached and taught basketball. Very proud of that.
Can you give me the name of one of the players that you had that overachieved and advanced? They may not have turned out to be stars, but from where they started from, they made the most progress. Anybody come to mind?
When I was coaching the kids?
Yeah.
All of them, except one. One guy was my main guy. The rest of them, I taught how to play the game. If I get an example, I hired Eric Money, who's playing the NBA, for 2 hours to go through some drills with the kids. And he was doing all this new stuff between the legs, behind the back, and all that. And I ain't say nothing. The kids looked like they were enjoying it. So after I go, okay, thanks a lot, Eric. Here's your money. Back to basics. And defense. And not all of them over. Let me give an example. There was one kid. First of all, they had to play because the parent paid AAU. There was one quiet kid, right? I had to put him in the game, but so one game I put him in. You follow me? And he took a shot and it was an air ball. Air ball went to the other side of the court, and the guy on the other team got the ball. Guess who was guarding him? He ran all the way over to guard the guy. You follow me? And in our finals, I started him. You follow me? I said, all I want you to do is hang around underneath the basket and just grab balls and put it back in on the offense. 2 or 3 key shots. By the way, this is a mixed emotion I'm going to tell you now. There was one kid on the other team, you follow me, attitude problem. And the word was to the referees, you're talking a 12-year-old, if he acts up, kick him out of the game. You follow me? So in the finals, we were playing the final game, and they were a bad team. They were fantastic. The ref kicked him out of the game. I didn't know what had happened, right? And they said there's something. So I went over to the bench, and I told the kid, I said, what's wrong with you, man? This is for fun, right? This is only for some fun. And, winning is one thing. And I told the ref, which I had control of, put him back in the game. You know why I wasn't worried about him going back in the game? I had a stopper on my team, right? I had a stopper who was guarding him, and I wasn't worried about him. And we won by 2 points on Saturday. On Monday, I started thinking, throwing that kid would have beat us. You follow me? And I let the team down. So some people say I did the right thing, and some say I gave a wrong example for him that he could do anything and get away with it. You follow me? I said,
right.
well, at the time, I was thinking about helping the kid, and I told the coaches, by the way, after the game, they didn't shake our hands. With the line, they didn't want to shake our hands. They were better. And I told the coach, I said, let me tell you something. If you want to, I can come over to your school and I can talk to the kids, right? But I'm not a firm believer in that. I lose, I don't want to talk to nobody. But I think you set a wrong example. I let them go to the line and shake my kids' hand. My kids are nice kids. They're not hoodlums or nothing, These are nice kids. Most of them was Mexicans, And these are nice kids. They're not bothering about it. All they want to do is listen and learn. What I did is when it was a timeout called, I didn't talk to them. I didn't say a word to them. They understand the timeout, right? They know what they're supposed to do. Execute. I coach in practice. You're supposed to execute. I just stood around and let them talk, right? And then we go back in and we be teams that we shouldn't have been in the finals. But they listen. And the problem with kids today, some of them think they got to shoot a three when they're down by one. Can't get the NBA. I can't. We started the 3-point shooting when I was in Cleveland in the ABL. That's when the 3-point shot started. I loved it then because that's what I did. But in the NBA now, when it came into the NBA, it was only supposed to be spot 3-point shoot, like near the end of the game, the strategy, not the whole game, right? Now,
right.
I see a team is down by one, and they take a three. We did back in the day, drive to the basket, right? Automatically, you don't get hit or you're going to make a shot. But they take a three, and I cut the game off one time watching it. They down by two, and they take a three. But the corner shot, every team in the league just has somebody stand in that corner, and 80% of threes are made from the corner. I'm trying to figure out why. We always taught, see the man, see the ball, see the man, see the ball, right? I can't figure out why you would lose your man to go look at the other side of the court when the guy's over there in the corner. Ray Allen made a living off that. Hall of Famer, standing in the corner. 80%.
I wonder if you picked that up from Red Holtzman. See the man, see the ball.
Yep. Red just Red told me Red gave me a good lesson when I got into the NBA, and I said, Red was a scout by the way, so he didn't want to interfere with the coach. But I asked him one time when I got there, I said, Red, how do I play NBA defense? We say that to practice. He said, let me tell you a little something. You're not going to stop Jerry. You're not going to stop Oscar. You follow me? But let them know you're in the game. That's all you got to do. Right. You're not stopping them. Let them know you're in the game. And I got it. Oscar in college. Let them know you're in the game. You follow me? And then you'll be all right. But you're not stopping Oscar and Jerry West. Those are gods of heaven. You don't stop them. But I taught the kids. I said, see the ball, see the man. I don't ever want to. I had my kids. I said, I don't even want the guy taking the three. That's more missing. As soon as you get the ball, I want you in his face. I don't want him taking the three. I don't want to take a chance of them making it. And that's what they did. They listened. I think I tell you the truth, Rob. I think I scared a few of them.
I remember when basketball, if you wanted 3 points, you drive
to the basket.
You draw the foul, you make the foul shot, and that's your three. And that also helps you because there's a limit on how many fouls a guy can have.
There you go. My brother and another player named Tony Jackson out of Brooklyn, they would have masters at and one. My brother averaged 30 points a game, and I can tell you something. He made more guys get out of the game Matter of fact, Carl Green, Harlem Globetrotter, with Tom with Eastern League. He says, I said, I heard about him, but I'm gonna hurt him. And he said, as Tom went up, he said, I knocked him down and won. He said, next thing I know, I got 3 fouls on me. I'm out of the game. And my brother never said a word. He just killed you silently. But you just hit it right in the head. There's no more and one hardly anymore because they outside shooting 25, 30 feet. And that's what. And by the way, Curry's the greatest shooter ever. I have no idea. And now the kids want to be Curry. Period. And the coaches are doing a bad thing. The coaches are teaching these kids the wrong way to play this game right now. And going back, we were just talking the other day. I was doing the thing with Freddie Crawford, and I said, Fred, back in the day, we were not thinking NBA. We were thinking about getting a job after school. I said, I go one step further. On draft night, I'm in my room, and a kid knocked on my door. I said, by the way, you just got drafted by the Cincinnati Royals. And I went, thank you.
Yeah, man.
And my roommate said, he just said you got drafted in NBA. I go, and I want to get a job. You follow me? That's how it was all in our head. Get a job. You're not gonna get a job. You don't have education. I went, yeah, all right, thanks a lot.
Immediate survival, because the NBA was kind of like a pie in the sky dream for everyone.
Yes. Yes.
So, you know, it was back in the day when there was no fallback. You know, you did well. You had a job. There was no welfare. There was none of that. Exactly. I'm sure you were thinking, like everybody else is thinking, security.
Yep. And the NBA wasn't that popular back then. The NBA was almost new. If you remember back in the day, I think you're talking 1960. The NBA was really maybe 10 years old. You follow me? And
right.
The NBA made a terrible mistake. When I'm playing with the Knicks, we're like one of the worst teams in the league with Detroit and Chicago, right? And guess who they on national TV at 1 o'clock? Us playing Detroit. 2 worst teams in the league. Nobody watched that. You follow me? Nobody watched that. It was, matter of fact, then they got delayed shows. But and obviously the game has changed so much today. These kids today, I'm telling you something. I'm a Sacramento fan. From the middle of the year, I started watching them. These young kids, you know what it is, Ralph. You know, back in the day, if you go on the superstar, right, you're in awe of them. You know, you're backing up instead of going at them. And these kids today don't care who you are. They're coming at you. They don't care. Grizzlies, they're coming at you. So it's a new era. It's a new era.
You mentioned, speaking of new eras and Sacramento, I'm thinking of Draymond Green, who puts a hurting on a kid lying on the ground on the court. He steps on his chest.
He stopped him. He's a Dennis Rodman of the NBA. He's a Dennis Rodman of the NBA. And I'm going to tell you something. Here's the funny thing about it. He can play. He can play. He can play the game of basketball. He's got smart head. He can play. You follow me? But he's got this thug mentality. That he can, and he keeps getting technicals and hurting the team. And managers will call him into the office, and they go, confidentially, if you keep it up, we're going to fine you. Now, fining today is, $1,000. That's chump change. But management got to get a hold of this guy, because sooner or the league going to get a hold of him. And they say, you either stop it, you follow me, or you're going to be suspended for a year. I
wonder how that's going to transcend into his life, that kind of attitude, because you can't play basketball forever. What's he going to turn out like? Something. Let me go on another point, right? I always said back in the day, I said, I think about Dennis Rodman, you follow me, is when he does it, how many he's going to take with him. You follow me? And, I don't want to be around, because somebody going to, this guy,
You see, when the NBA at the beginning of the year, you get evaluated. You follow me? And they go back to management. They said, by the way, this guy's got some I'll give you an example. There's a lot of guys in the NBA that's on edge. You follow me? Now, let's talk, and you go with this. All right? Iverson, right? The greatest around. But I want you to speak on this right when I finish. When you're going up in Harlem or the inner city, you with a posse. You follow me? You with guys. You follow me? Okay. Not the best guys around. Now you get to college. Now you get to the NBA. I think you have to cut them loose. You follow me? It's tough to say if you grew up somebody. It's cut them loose because they're going to hurt you. And I use Iverson as an example, but he changed the NBA with a lot of stuff. But the boy on Jay Morant on Memphis, you follow me, is in that category. You're with the wrong people. Now, Vic, the football player, he had the right attitude of helping them, but for something illegal, dogfighting. Get them a grocery store. Get them a barber shop. You follow me? Put them in business because you got all this money. That's why you help them. But in order to stay with that thug attitude, I don't know how. I will ask you this, right? I grew up in Harlem. I was with some guys. Fortunately, the guys I was were ball players. You follow me? We're ball players. We weren't gang members or nothing. But I was around gangs with guys who went into the NBA, by the way, one or two of them, right? They didn't last long because of their attitude. But do you cut them loose when you get into the NBA or you stay with them?
Right. Do you have an obligation? Does the league have an obligation when they take a player in to make it a part of a club or a family? I think the league has responsibilities because how long? I mentioned Draymond. He's had 3 or 4 incidents. He punched this
more
kid
than 3 or 4. More than 3 or 4. You got to understand something. Life, you overlook certain things. Yeah. Let me just reflect back to a business me and Tom had with a bar business, right? And we weren't doing well on Wednesday nights because nobody's out. But I hired this girl who had a following, right? Pack bar, right? But I knew she was stealing, and I didn't want to catch her. You know, I told Tom, I go, we're doing all right on Wednesday. We very seldom, it's a dead night. But she packed the place, and we had a big place. I knew she was stealing, but I didn't want to catch her, right? Let's put that with the NBA. We know these guys got thugs with them. We don't want to catch them. You follow me? We keep warning them, and the fines don't mean anything. What hurts the team is when a player is suspended. That hurts the team, and that's when the owners should come in and say, "You got to stop this. You just can't stop people today. You might, something. You might kill somebody. You might actually step a guy's chest. You might kill somebody." Now, regular fine. Remember that we had the no layup rule back in the day. You follow me? But it wasn't to intentionally hurt somebody. It's to put a body on them that you're not coming in here for no layups. You follow me? But now the guys that hit them in the groin and stomping them. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, they blame the blacks for bringing that into the league. Because back during the white days, there was no, they didn't have these problems. You follow me? However, there was one player on the Boston Celtics, Jim Luskator. Luskator. Did you
hear me say Luskator?
Yeah.
He was a thug.
Animal. He was a thug. He was a thug, man. He was a freaking. Let me tell you something. 7 years ago, we had our conference, NBA conference in Vegas, and I'm with Joe Roberts. Played at Syracuse, right? And he played in that great Ohio State team. And there he comes. Jim, he's got a walker. His wife is holding him up. And you know what Joe said to me? I ought to go over there and kick his butt. I said, Joe, this guy's 90? He said, no, the way he beat up on his dog shays, you know, when I was at Syracuse, I tried to stop him. He told me to get out of his face because he's gonna kick my butt. This guy was hated, but I'm saying he's 80-something. He's got a walker. His wife is trying to help him. He's got these things he's trying to sell to put on your neck so you won't get sick. And he's still bitter. And I can go through it and hold it. Really hop back to the same category of guys wanting to hurt them. You follow me? You know, the way they disrespected us and stuff. But this guy was a killer. Knicks had a player that was a killer, right? But Al McGuire, when the coach asked him to go in, Kuzma goes, oh, man, here we go. But Al didn't do anything intentional. He just hurt you in his own way, you know, in a sportsmanship kind of way. But you knew he was going to hurt you. But now you got guys kicking in the groin and stomping people and stuff like that. Now coming out of the park, you might get shot. If you did that to a player, you know, you might get guy go to his car and come back. Guy go to the car and come back and blow your brains out. And Green is you got to understand something. He can't intimidate these young players. You know what I'm saying? The imitation is his purpose. It's not working with these young boys because they jump over you, you know. But with the older guys, you know, I don't know. This guy, he's got to have a problem. And before the season starts, they evaluate you on everything. You follow me? And then they report back to management. And they report back to management. By the way, you know, this guy is not all his marbles. You follow me? Maybe he should start getting help. Here's the problem. Mental health is a major problem in sports. And I'll give an example. There was a guy on TV.
In politics, too.
I was going to mention, there's a guy, I saw something today on a guy, very popular guy. And he says, I have mental issues. He says, I just can't be by myself because I go on the treadmill. When I'm not on the show, I'm on the treadmill all the time. He's admitting that he's got problems. But the NBA, what they should do is, you know, confidentially, call them into the office and say, look, we want you to get some help, right? And have them talk to some mental people. They have one. Each team has one, you follow me? But they don't utilize them. Back in the day, there was a famous baseball player with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Had a drinking problem, right? Yeah, big fella. I used to go to his bar. But he overcame it, and the Dodgers gave him a lifetime job. You know what his job was? Counseling players. And guess what? Players don't want to go see him because if somebody see them going, they say, he got a problem. They stayed with him till they died, you know. But he overcame it, you know. He really overcame it because he was in pretty bad shape. But you got to understand something. Back in the day, drinking was a situation in the NBA, not marijuana. Drinking. All day long, you get a room watching soap operas, and you get bored. You follow me? So a lot of drinking happened back in the day. A lot of superstars was close to the edge. But when the game time started, you follow me? It's all out the window, all or nothing. But now marijuana is legal, you know. So all the other stuff, to keep going. I gave a talk. I gave a talk about 6 years ago at a father-son breakfast, right? With the NFL of all people. I mean, NFL guys who were there for a long time. And a guy, one was a prison minister, and they were given to say the following. I was on drugs my whole NFL career, right? Then I found God. Mm-hmm. It was a religious thing. Another guy says, I was on drugs for 4 years. I even taught my kids how so they can get in the NFL. 4 guys before me mentioned about the drug thing. So when my turn came, the only basketball player, I said, well, I was fortunate to play in the NBA. I never tried drugs. My drug of choice was playing. And I always ended by saying, but that's me. And my drug of choice is playing in the NBA. But that's me. You follow me? So I don't think you need drugs in order to perform. But that's me. So I won't knock the guys, right? And enhancement, you got to understand something. By doing drugs, you shorten your lifespan, and most important, you're gonna ruin your families. If you're selfish, if you get to the point of doing that. So after some of the parents came and told me that was nice. I said my message was, you don't do drugs to play ball. Either you're good or you're not good. You follow me? And I tell you another thing. I went out one time with the Brooklyn Dodgers, old-time Brooklyn Dodger fan, right? They were going to play at the stadium. And he got in my car, and he had the spoon, with the stuff. I said, ho, I'm a vice president of the bank. You got to get out of my car, man. And so next day, I said, let me watch this game. This guy had 2 doubles and a home run and stole 2 bases. I went, you start thinking, Ralph, wait a minute. I know what this guy was doing. And he had 2 doubles, a home run, and stole 2 bases. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I guess in some cases it might help you. But in the long run, a lot of guys are, but today's, you can't be a thug because I'll be honest with you. Let's go back to the posse. You hit one of those guys, their boys might be waiting for you outside. You follow? Well, they might be saying, wait a minute, he can't do anything, but we can. I'm maybe overemphasizing that, but you can't stomp a human being, man, or spit on somebody or hit them in the groin. And
you mentioned the Dodgers. I'm thinking it wasn't back in your day, but it was back in my day when Juan Marichal takes a baseball bat and hits Johnny Roseboro over the head.
Yep.
And doesn't get fined. He might have gotten a small fine, but
$500.
Not being suspended. Is that what it was? $500?
Yeah, he could have killed him. He could have killed him. And he goes on, and they let him in the Hall of Fame, and they make up the story about how Roseboro and he became good friends. Well, guess what? I knew Johnny Roseboro when he was a roving instructor with the Dodgers, with the LA Dodgers. And I just sitting in the clubhouse once, talking to him, I looked him in the eye and I said, "You haven't forgotten that, have you?" And he couldn't even look me in the eye and go, No, I it's all behind me. I said, no. Somebody hits you on the head with the baseball bat, almost killing you,
and you don't forget it. You might have, for publicity or to appease the Dodgers, or I know they got Marichal as a pitcher later on in his career. Whatever reason, I saw right through it that they weren't close friends. No question about that. Why did I know that? Because Roseboro is just a human being. He's not going to be a close friend of no matter how much time passes, no matter how many apologies. He just I know Willie Mays didn't speak to Marichal for years after that. And I don't know if they ever spoke again. So,
it disturbed me all my life.
It's not just basketball, it's life.
Yes. Yes.
And we've seen things, just being our age, we've seen things regress rather than progress in humanity, in getting along with people,
but you got to be you mentioned that. How upset I got when I saw Bobby Thompson and Ralph Rankin hanging out signing autographs. I hated this situation all my life with him talking to Ralph Brinker talking to Bobby Thompson. Like they friends, like you're talking about.
Right.
You know, why? How could they forget? I'm gonna tell you something. I ain't gonna name the players, obviously. I'm with we in pregame against Philadelphia, and Chamberlain did a number on us, right? And we got back to the dressing room, and one of the star players says, "We're going back to the Garden, or we're gonna eat something." And nobody wanted to hear that. You just got terrible beating. And one of the other players says, "Well, must you right, little no." They get in a fight, fist fight, right? And Chamberlain came in the hand of God went on both their shoulders. They couldn't move, right? Now on the bus, one of the players sitting beside me, and the other player came and said, "Whoa, wait a minute, you're not playing cards with us tonight?" And they went back there and played cards, and it was forgotten. You follow me? And the newspaper caught it the next day. But men would be men. But today, I'm being honest with you. You're saying something about this guy. He's got a mental problem. If you talk to psychiatrists, they said something's wrong with this guy. And by the way, you think he's been doing this his whole career. This is not new. He done led the league in fouls, technical fouls, and you see, back in the day, $50 is a fine for a technical, right? Today, maybe $2,000, $3,000, but it don't mean anything. $50 meant a lot back then if you got a technical. You follow me? But today, guys don't mind doing something, but the suspension is the key to it, Ralph. He should have been suspended. A lot of guys say he shouldn't have got suspended at all. It's in the heat of the game.
And you gotta bring the help in when the player is getting suspended. You got to make it mandatory that he gets help. I've never met anybody who was a mental case or needed help, I'm sorry for that expression, who would accept that. In other words, they're the least likely to accept help is when you got a problem. So you got to make the suspension combined with mandatory.
You're sounding logical. But you know what these teams are? We want to overlook or we want to win games. What you're saying? So when they meet a psychiatrist, he said, "I think it should be out 5 games." No, that can't happen. Make like you just said. You follow me? So they overlook it. You follow me? They overlook racism for 50 years. They overlook it. You got the right point. As soon as he gets suspended, have him see a psychiatrist. You follow? Someone they can talk to him. It don't work with certain guys. It doesn't work because they got a mental problem. And I give an example because that's what Fred Crawford's life was. He was with visiting nurse service taking care of mental patients. And some of them you cannot talk to because they're in their mind. This guy Green won't change. Did you think that? Let me ask you what's going to change in Chicago?
No.
Dennis Rodman, did he change? He never changed. He played his whole career doing that. You follow me? But and he's still surviving out here in the street. But a lot of guys, if you notice, the football players, all of a sudden they stopped talking about it. Was dying of these brain problems. They don't talk about it anymore. For the first 2 years, guys had problems. But right now, there's a few, I'm going to say, players that got mental problems. Or not only in basketball, all sports. Let me put it with 2 I know, baseball and basketball. They got issues,
right? And
they don't. The managers don't want to identify with their problems. They know they can't solve it. Now let's talk about their teammates.
A lot of these drugs, and you were talking about football. A lot of these drugs cause the mental problems.
Yes.
Steroids, for example, are going to precipitate mental problems by nature of the beast. Hey, look, we're running out of time. I want to get one more Robert Cole question.
Oh, go ahead.
Did you think Brunson would become as dominant as he's been?
you know, when Brunson gets the ball, right? I'm looking at both sides. He's one way. He's not looking to pass. He's got one track mind. I'm going to score, right? I'm going to score. If you know, he's not an assist guy for being in the backcourt. You follow me? But he killed the Suns last year, and this guy is some kind of player. He has the mentality to take them a long way. A long way. If the other guy understand who he is, if you look at him playing, he don't look to pass. He looks at I'm scoring, and that's what he does. And he's tough on defense too. He can. They're missing one piece, which would be what we call a forward. But right now, with his talent, and I saw him kill the Suns out here, man. You couldn't stop him. And he's never off. Jump shooters are never off. He's never off.
How far can they go this year? In your estimation?
Depends on the gentleman you just mentioned. It was this earlier thing. Should they trade him? They go as far as he takes them. Right?
Okay.
You know what's missing? You know what's missing around? You know what's missing in the game? The offensive rebounds. Right? If guys are shooting, if he went to the basket and get offensive rebound, and put it back up, that actually anyway, they go as far as he go. That's the only answer I got, because when you got a guy like that who has this talent, you go as far as he go. But Brunson can take them really up there, and just add, and this J.R. Barrett, you don't know what he's going to do every night. Reminds me of Dick Barnett playing. You don't know, but he.
All back, baby.
Oh man, but right now, Brunson can do damage. It depends on the big fella. Now let's real quick. We talked earlier, remember, about who should be talking to Green, his teammates.
Yes.
You're messing us up here, man. Those are the ones that got to talk to him. I remember back the old days, the Celtics, you come to camp, they said, by the way, don't mess with our money, because we go to champ every year. But right now, his teammates should grab him. Look ahead, Green. When you out, you follow me? We lose or could lose. Cool it. That's all I got, Ralph.
That's all you need, baby. You are terrific. And we talk off the air more than we talk on the air.
That's right.
If I could only have transcribed some of these talks, it would be great, because you're the most forthcoming guy, and I love talking to you. We'll do it again soon.
Anytime, you know that. Anytime.
I know that. I need you to stay healthy. I need you to stay well, and come back real soon. We'll have you. New York Knicks in the Zone, Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I'm Ralph Tyko. I had Sam Stith. Sam Stith realizes that I'm the weak link of it all, and he accepts me for who I am.
That's all right. Well, stay the course. Stay the course. Stay what you are. You're doing a heck of a job. All right.
All right. Thank you for listening to everybody, because Sam gives some great podcasts, and we'll be back soon. Adios and happy trails.
Adios.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.